Ryan, I got a bunch of futures I like for the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, I'm on the under 10.5 wins.
Okay.
I
can be talked into that.
Miss playoffs at plus 165. And things could go wrong here. Things could go sideways. Maybe a group holdout. CD Lamb, Micah Parsons consider starting their own football team in Texas. Stage a group walkout because of unfair labor practices by Jerry Jones. You never know. And to get the Cowboys to have the fewest wins at 100-1, that to me a lot of value.
Put me down. That makes sense.
And then Cowboys, of course, 0-17 at 700-1 feels like worth it. I know I have them projected
much
at 700-1, which
700-1,
which feels like a misprice.
Phone the accountant. We're gonna need to secure a holding in this one. Last winless team 45-1.
Okay.
They play the Giants, or I'm asking you because I'm taking.
I'm not. No, because they play the Giants. They'll probably get.
Give me that one. You're picking the Cowboys to win games. I'm gonna clip this out, send it to your parents.
So Cowboys 0-17. You got Ryan. What else? Anything else you like?
If there's is there a chance CD Lamb holds out? Because his totals are through the roof. I mean, over on Underdog, Sean, and maybe we can just jump ahead. 1,399.5 receiving yards. He's being mushed as the consensus #1 overall receiver in a pool with Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I mean, I would even sprinkle Amon-Ra in that conversation. So give me lower 1399.5. But I get check those rules. Make sure that you don't get boned if they decide to if he actually decides to hold.
So an Underdog, it's 1399.5.
Yeah, it's a big number.
That's massive.
He got a lot of targets last year. That's why the projections are putting him through the roof. That's why he's the #1 fantasy guy. Because like four places make projections. They use numbers and they see what's going on and they see that there's not a lot. Maybe there's not a lot there. Maybe he's just as good as he was last year. Look at the target share, and then all right, let's dangle this ridiculously high number. I mean, he's insane chalk to lead the league in all the leader markets. That's why Dak is insane chalk. I mean, certainly, Sean, you've gotten down on some divisional market stuff, and you see how juicy everyone that isn't the Cowboys in those markets.
Jake Ferguson lower 5.5 receiving touchdowns.
You're gonna fade a tight end?
Yeah, he has 7 career receiving touchdowns in 2 years. I just don't see it. I think a lot of the goal line stuff's going to go to Zeke. And if CD Lamb does play, I think he's going to continue to eat up a ton there. I just don't see Jake Ferguson getting over that hump of 5.5. So yeah, give me the lower on the Jake Ferguson. What about you, Cereal? What do you like here? We got you for the over 10.5 wins. What else are you adding to your Cowboys card?
Before I get into it, I got to hear the story about how you guys ended up being Cowboy haters.
What do you mean?
Any NFL aficionado knows you two are the division rivals. You guys don't even have anything to do with us.
No. Cowboys were always #1 hated because, well, one, it's Dallas is, if you're from the Northeast, Texas doesn't really fit in with the rest of the vibe there going on Northeast football. So Cowboys, and again, I grew up. I was born in 83, so early childhood fandom of the 90s. Cowboys, that was when they were good. You guys accidentally won a couple Super Bowls, so yeah, it's always been Cowboys enemy #1. Yeah, not even close.
It also, you sprinkle in the fact that there would be people wearing Cowboy stuff because they had a lot of bandwagon fan, like the curse of the Steelers and the Cowboys, where they were good. They were the only teams on TV, so they were scattered all over the place.
And you have the audacity to label yourself America's team. I love America. I hate Dallas. I mean, I went to a Phillies Dodgers game and a Dallas sucks chant broke out. Beautiful. That is how strong the sports hatred is.
It's uniting, and it is. Because I do remember, like back in the old days when we were kids, the Cardinals were also in the division, and I do recall like specifically there were much bigger rivalries between the Washington, Philly, and Dallas compared to Arizona, but also like the Giants Eagles rivalry is strong too. The Commanders was always a little bit of a whatever, and the Cowboys you just hated. Maybe it's not rational, but they got good too, right? When I was like, coming off the 2 wins, figuring out what football was, and then these fucking Cowboys get good for 4 straight years. Of course, you're gonna hate that. It's logical. So yeah, that's how the fuck the Cowboys came to be, and then just sprinkle in Tony Romo, sprinkle in Troy Aikman, and here we are, 3-14.
Fair enough. That's how I ended up hating the Eagles.
Eagles are easy to hate. See, this is something we can relate on. At least the Cowboys and the Giants come from sophisticated cities, not this low sewer dwelling trash of Philadelphia.
Oh, sorry, Ryan. I just saw you, fraternizing with the enemy over there.
What do you mean?
No, you and Cereal were saying, "Oh, hey, this is something we can bond on. Maybe you guys host your own podcast."
It was that brief eye contact where we decided to both spit in the direction of Philadelphia at the same time. That's all.
All right, let's get your
3-14 is still my prediction.
That is a disgusting act.
Cereal, what do you got for the folks?
So, first team to beat the Cowboys.
Ooh.
The Ravens at plus 350.
Oh, okay.
As I mentioned, not scared of the Browns. I don't know why everyone's hyping up the Browns like they're some sort of magical good team all of a sudden, but Ravens plus 350. Of course, splitting the series with the Eagles. Last time it was plus 110, down a little bit, plus 105 this year around. So still will take that one. And then of course, let's repeat from last year. Dak, the most touchdowns at plus 850.
So okay,
Dak most touchdowns plus 850. I don't mind the Eagles split bet.
That is a disgusting act.
As someone who watches those games from afar, generally seems to be what happens.
Well, they can't score a touchdown in Dallas, so.
Now, Cereal, was it a bummer when Dak had the most touchdowns in the league last year? Because hey, just setting you up for failure in the playoffs. Were you almost sad? Like, part of me would rather, if you're gonna, continue to just run into these walls in the playoff, maybe better off just because Dak's a tough guy to get rid of when he throws a bunch of regular season meaningless passing touchdowns. Is there a part of you that's secretly rooting against Dak?
How's it meaningless when we need those to get into the playoff?
Well, because you get into the playoffs and then nothing happens, so ultimately it is meaningless. But yes, I could see how you could say it. I could see how someone might see it the opposite way there. What about underdog? Do you have any underdog plays you like for your Cowboys here?
Is that the same logic you use when Jalen Hurts gets pushed into the end zone?
Oh boy,
just curious.
I mean,
coming after the tush push.
Yeah, come on. Are you
they just buried Jason
talking about
Kelsey's
the most physical play in football, where you literally impose your will on the other team. They said they drew a line in the sand saying you can't get past that line, and they said "fuck you, we're bringing it." Yeah, that play.
Cereal. He still thinks that the new kid is going to be the same as Jason Kelsey, so he's a little bit in denial still.
No, I think we're going to miss Jason Kelsey, but I'm optimistic about Cam Jurgens. Mekhi Becton is certainly a guy who can move a pile 6 inches, and in a gotta have it play, it's tough to beat the tush push.
Mekhi Becton.
I call it brotherly shove, but feel free to use that in
you
your.
Still got 3 people to push.
Put that in your tall glass of haterade, Cereal. All right,
underdog in New York. Yeah, we don't. They're getting rid of it, so I haven't really even. All right. But if you want to throw something out there,
what do you? I mean, it's basically the same numbers you can see.
Zeke rushing touchdowns 5.5. You going lower or higher?
Give me higher.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, how does he not? I mean, who else are they going to give the ball to around?
He just needs to fall into the end zone 6 times. Yeah. He could do that.
Are you worried about your running game? Zeke didn't. I would describe Zeke's performance last season as electric. It did seem like they were going to draft a guy, and then they just never ended up doing it.
No, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, we didn't have it last year, and Dak still put up number 1 scoring offense, number 1 in touchdowns, 3rd in yards, 2nd most 100-yard games. Was I worried about the offense then? Nope.
Who Ryan? I forget who started against the Packers in the playoffs. Was it? I assumed this.
Who was that?
I assumed this amazing quarterback must have been injured. If
It is weird
Well,
that Jordan Love.
well, the quarterback didn't allow 6 touchdowns on the first 7 drives for
Well,
the Packers.
It's true.
He did allow one that he threw to their defense. So partly
That's also true.
it's a little bit on Dak there.
Facts.
Are you talking about that nice little cut he did to pick off CD Lamb because CD Lamb didn't give 100% effort? That
Oh,
one,
wow.
Whoa.
Sounds like Cereal's not ready to pay CeeDee Lamb either, huh?
no, I'd rather take him.
You
Like I
take
said, get
CD
rid of
over.
that.
Yeah, you gave out your power rankings. Well, Cereal, thanks for being a good sport, hopping on. Where can people check you out? I know you're. Oh yeah, let's go over our official records. Kramer and I, Cowboys 3-14.
Nice job,
Cereal 11-6. Great Cereal logo. You can check him out on the Discord, Sir Long Dong.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Long Cox.
I can only imagine what type of interactions you have on Discord.
Mike
with
Vrabel's
that
worst
name.
nightmare.
He's gonna have to get the hedge clippers out for that. Cereal likes the higher on Zeke over on underdog 5.5 rushing touchdowns. I like the lower on the Ferguson receiving touchdowns. Kramer likes the lower 13.99.5. CeeDee Lamb receiving yards, and Kramer and I have some, I don't even call them log shots, but decent value on Cowboys to go 0-17, last winless team, and Cowboys fewest wins.